It's the Ask RIA Show, coming to you live with life, love, and the supernatural. From the real lifestyle of the rich and famous to the Cupid of love or the untold stories of supernatural. Get it all right here on the Ask RIA Show. Now, here's RIA.
Hey everybody, it's your girl RIA. I'm out here at the Petros and I'm talking to one of the truck drivers. His name is John. He drives a flatbed. So he's going to tell you some pointers about what truckers go through out here and what to expect from truckers. So it's going to be a little loud out here. So when we come back, we're going to talk to John, and John's going to tell us about his experience on the road as a truck driver. We'll be right back.
Wearing a mask helps prevent the spread of COVID-19. If you are not fully vaccinated, you should wear a mask in indoor public places, such as malls, grocery stores, and restaurants. If you are fully vaccinated, you should wear a mask in indoor public places if you are in an area of high transmission. If you have a medical condition or are taking medications that weaken your immune system, you should wear a mask even if you are fully vaccinated. Wearing a mask is required on planes, buses, trains, and other public transportation traveling into, within, or out of the United States, and while indoors at U.S. transportation hubs such as airports and stations. Consider wearing a mask in crowded outdoor settings and for close contact with others who are not fully vaccinated in areas with high numbers of COVID-19 cases. Masks should not be worn by children under the age of 2 or a person with a disability who cannot wear a mask. To learn more, visit cdc.gov.
Hi, John. How are you?
Good, RIA. How are you?
I am good. So how long have you been driving?
33 years.
How long?
33.
33 years.
3.5 decades.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what are some of the things you experienced on the road?
Some of the things I experienced on the road, there's a lot of things I experienced on the road. Specifically.
Okay, like, what are the good things and the bad things that you've experienced on the road in your 33 years?
The good things I experienced on the road in my 33 years, about 10 years ago or so, it was more of a brotherhood. It was more of a brotherhood and a fraternity, so to speak. Truck drivers, you know what I mean? Okay. Nowadays, it's not so much that anymore. It's really saddening, you know what I mean? A lot of, the worst things I've seen on the road too, recently speaking, within the last, let's say since 2014 or so, they came out with automatic transmission trucks. And to me, my opinion, not by anybody else's, but my opinion, I think it's ruined the trucking industry.
And why is that?
Because now anybody and everybody thinks they can be a truck driver. And that's just not the case. You know what I mean? You got too many people out here in these trucks driving automatics that really don't know how to drive a rig. And only been to school for a couple of weeks. And in my opinion, it takes a lot more than a couple of weeks to be a truck driver. Or even just a driving period.
What are some of the things that you would say that drivers do on the road that's very dangerous for them? That when you're
following too close, they follow too, some drivers rather follow too close to four-wheelers or trucks, and they don't know what that person ahead of them, could experience in an instant. Like, might have to slam on their brakes, and then it could be a disaster. I seen it actually a month ago on 75 there in Tennessee. A van was following a rig too close, and the rig had to, mash on the brakes, and the van went right into the back of the trailer.
Wow.
I'm assuming the guy in the van died because they had, a blue top folded over the van and all kinds of chaos going on out there.
Wow. So I heard when you're coming off the ramps, what do that really tick you off? The drivers. like the car drivers.
Okay, yeah. My opinion, right? I think it should be trucks in the 2 left lanes, not in the 2 right lanes. Because drivers coming onto the highway, whether it be a truck or a 4-wheeler or a motorcycle, mostly motorcycles speed up and get gone. But, 4-wheelers, for instance, they'll be speeding on the ramp, but when they get on the highway, they'll cut back on the speed. So that means we have to cut back on our speed when we're going 70, 65 miles an hour. You know what I mean? So logically, and anybody who has a logic and common sense mind, it should be trucks on the 2 left lanes, not the 2 right lanes. Especially going through like cities or major cities, what have you. We got all kinds of get on exits. Everybody's getting on every other 100 feet or whatever. It doesn't make sense to me.
What do you think needs to change in the industry?
They need to get rid of automatic trucks. They need to get rid of, not get rid of, but the people in the corporate world there, FMs, SCA, what have you. They need to be actually experienced with trucks. You know what I mean? And I don't think a lot of them are. The guys that make the rules and the laws and stuff for truck drivers and so forth, I don't think they've ever been in a truck. So,
what do you think about the new drivers that are coming on the road that has no experience?
They need a lot more experience, a lot more knowledge rather, other than 2 to 3 weeks in a trucking school. Most of these trucking schools, whether it be a company or affiliated trucking school, they're pumping them out, like trucking mills, you know what I mean, per se. They don't know how to read a map. They don't have CBs, you know what I mean? They're on their phone because they have an automatic, so they're on their phone doing what have you and not paying attention to the road. I don't think they're taught well enough in these trucking schools like back in the day.
Now, I've heard from older drivers that most drivers these days depend more on GPSs than they do maps. Is that true?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Shoot, what was it? I think it was like September or something like that. I seen a truck in the cornfield off of 80 in Indiana. I don't depend on my GPS at all until I get off the exit and I'm starting to look for where I'm dropping my load or picking my load up. Otherwise, I've been on the road for so long I don't really need a map anymore either. But otherwise, I look at my map and the best, route to get there. Because sometimes, GPS, they'll take you around the block and then back. You know what I mean? And you can't really depend on GPS. It's good to have, but you can't really depend on it. When I started driving, there was no such thing as smartphones and there was no such thing as cell phones, and definitely not a GPS. It was all map and you call your dispatcher or you call where you're picking up or dropping off. Get directions that way.
So what got you into driving?
Got me into driving? Shoot, my grandfather, his father before him, they were truck drivers. My uncles are truck drivers. I've been around trucks my whole life. You know what I mean? When I was a child, I used to ride up with my uncle, and he used to let me sit on his lap, just like, fathers do with their kids. Let me hold the big steering wheel, pump the horn, and what have you. And I was like, I'm going to be a truck driver. When I was 17, my uncle handed me the keys to the rig and told me to bring the load up to Plattsburgh, New York, all by myself. And that's what I did. Had to take the ferry over from Vermont to Plattsburgh, New York. It was an experience. I've been in the truck ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So your first year or first months in the truck, what was your outlook about it? Were you scared?
I was intimidated, you know what I mean? Because, of course, I was a greenhorn. I was, still wet behind the ears. And I was intimidated, but, I pumped myself up. You know what I mean? I made sure I could, make people proud. Made my uncle proud, you know what I mean? It was his truck. I wanted to make him proud pretty much, you know what I mean? It gave me more courage to keep going.
What do you say about the people these days that are coming right out of trucking school want to go straight into getting their own truck?
Well, I mean, everything ain't for everybody. You know what I mean? Just because you see somebody else do it don't mean you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was a company driver for years before I started taking on all that overhead and whatever. And some guys that come out of trucking school, maybe they have the experience and have family that were truckers that showed them the ropes, what have you. So they can, they're able to do it. But, I don't think it's a good idea. I think, when you come out of trucking school, you should get your feet wet for a good couple of years and see if you want to take on that responsibility of, owning your own truck and the whole nine. You know what I mean? Because it ain't for everybody.
In your own opinion, about how much will it cost to get your own authority?
I don't know that question. I don't know that answer, rather. I don't know how much it costs to get your own authority. So I don't know. I can't answer that.
Are you your own operator?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm on a lease purchase program.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know how that works, but
explain how that works.
I'm basically financing the truck. I can book my own loads. It's the same as being an owner operator. I can book my own loads. Some lease purchase programs with some companies, you can't book your own loads, but with the company I'm with, I can book my own loads. You know what I mean? I pay for the truck. I pay for the fuel. I pay for the tires. Everything that happens maintenance-wise, I got to pay for. I rent their trailer, and it's my own equipment for chains and straps and so forth.
Okay, what are some of the DOT rules that you do not agree with and think that should be changed?
The half-hour break. You know what I mean? You lose, for me anyways, lose a lot of time taking a half-hour break. What else should change? 11-hour rule. Well, no, that's good, because, you can't sit in that seat and drive for, over 11 hours, and it's dangerous, basically.
Right.
But,
right. And let's talk about the food.
What's the food? No good.
What is the truck stop food like?
No good. You know what I mean? It's no good. It's fattening. It's it's not really nutritious. I'm a hunter and a fisher, so when I go home, or when I go up north rather, I go in the woods and I get my own food. Plus my aunt, she has a farm, so I get my own vegetables and stuff. So I don't really dine out at the truck stops.
So what do you hunt for out there?
Venison, rabbit.
Venison?
Yep, rabbit.
So you can kill Bambi.
His father, or his grandfather. Yeah.
Now, if they were to put real restaurants with truck stops or make parking spaces with real restaurants, would you go to it?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah. Definitely not Cracker Barrel. That food is way bland. It says it in the title. No, but yeah, I would probably go to the restaurants if they were good restaurants, you know what I mean? And if I felt like eating that type of food that day.
Like what, seafood? Or?
Seafood, definitely, yeah. Seafood, yeah. Seafood.
Okay.
Well, it depends what part of the country you are, too. I wouldn't go eat seafood if I was in South Dakota. You know what I mean? I don't know how fresh that would be.
How do you think most of these guys catch their big bellies out here?
Eating the food, snacking while driving. Snacking while driving. There's a lot of health conscious drivers. I've seen it a lot lately too. A lot of guys getting out of their trucks, working out, or taking walks around the parking lot. Some guys put their bikes on their catwalk and ride their bike around and so forth. So there's a lot of health conscious drivers. But definitely, when I started driving, I got back into driving, went back over the road rather, I think it was 2 years ago, something like that. And I definitely put on at least 50 or 70 pounds, yeah.
Was that truck stop food?
Not really, but snacking at nighttime.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Snacking at nighttime, or snacking while I'm driving and not getting proper exercise.
Yeah. So do you exercise now?
I walk around, yeah. I have a puppy, so I walk in a lot.
For those who don't know, as a trucker, what is the best way to exercise?
getting that blood flowing. You know, sitting down, you can get blood clots coming up your leg and so forth. So definitely walking, bicycling. You know what I mean? I wish they would open up, you know, the fitness centers or have more fitness centers at truck stops. You know, large ones like a Planet Fitness or something like
Right.
that.
How many times do you have to walk around the truck to make it a mile?
I don't know.
I heard somebody say something about walking around so many times
Yeah.
and it makes it a mile, so they get out and walk around their trucks.
I don't count like that. I just walk till I get tired. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm gonna get me some rollerblades though when the spring comes. Start rollerblading. That's good exercise too.
So do you recommend people who are wondering about getting into trucking, do you recommend them to get into it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if that's what you really want, you know what I mean? Don't just come into it because you need the money, because there's definitely other jobs out there that will pay, maybe not as good, but will pay decent. You know what I mean? People that are out here just for a paycheck and don't really have too much of a passion for it, in my opinion, is pretty dangerous, because you know, they're chasing a check and not really being too conscious of the industry. You know what I mean? But if you're gonna come out here being a truck driver, don't come out here without all the tools. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna be a cook, you're gonna have knives, spatulas, spoons, what have you. If you're gonna be a truck driver, you need a map, you need a CB. A lot of these truckers don't have a CB, and that's just so stupid. I don't see how anybody can be an open-wheel driver without a CB. You know, like I was in Dallas a couple days ago, they had the ice storm. There was a lot of truckers, you know, stuck on hills and so forth, and they didn't have a CB to talk to anybody. They had to get out the truck and walk, you know, to whack somebody down with.
So what is it like? What is it like driving in the snow?
I hate it. I don't like it. I'm originally from the Northeast, but I don't like driving the inclement weather. I mean, if you weight it down, you can get your momentum up and, you know, keep it moving at a safe speed. You know what I mean? But
how do you identify black ice?
it says it in the name. You know what I mean? You can't really see it. You know, so you just got to be cautious.
So I mean, for a truck that's traveling at night, what would you say the speed should be, and how would you recognize that it is black ice?
Well, you wouldn't be able to really. I mean, you just have to pay attention to the temperature. You know what I mean? If it was snowing during the day, and it stopped snowing, and then it dropped down to 20-something degrees at night, you got to be kind of, you know, it's common sense to tell you it's going to be some black ice out there. You don't want to be doing 70 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Unless you want to end up in a ditch and get a headache with all the record service and, you know, cops and all that jazz.
Give me one of the worst situations you found yourself in that possibly gave you a scare.
Shit. There's a lot of them. Okay, just the other day, I was traveling on 20 there, coming out of Dallas, and I didn't see the car. I mean, the car was literally on my tailgate, and I didn't see it. You know, I was going to get in the right lane, so I was going to take the exit, and she did the same thing, and I almost wiped it into the ditch. She almost went into the woods. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to be tailgating a truck, whether it be another truck or a car. You just don't want to tailgate it. Some trucks have on the trailers, you can't see my mirrors, I can't see you. There's a reason for that. You know what I mean? When I see trucks coming up on me, just because you want to do 80 miles an hour, you know what I mean? You should have planned your trip better. You know what I mean? If you was late, you should have left sooner, you know? But just because you want to do 80 miles an hour, don't think you're going to be pushing me out the way. And if you get on my tailgate, I'll brake check you.
Exactly. So one of the road rages out here was to cut your high beams on. Have you ever had to do that?
Cut my high beams on?
When you're driving, somebody cuts you off at night?
Oh, no. I don't really drive at night anyways. You know what I mean? I try not to make it happen.
I've heard drivers say if somebody cut them off, they throw the high beams on them.
Nah, see, That's what's dangerous out here too. You can't let people get in your head. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That's a recipe for disaster. Somebody cuts you off, what are you gonna do? You gonna chase them the whole way?
Right,
You know what I mean? You gonna throw your high beams on? So what? They can just speed off and
Exactly.
you know what I mean? Like it's childish.
How much road rage do you think most of these truckers have out here?
A lot.
A lot.
I mean, I've had it. You know what I mean? But especially when I was a younger driver. But yeah, I definitely see a lot of road rage out here. See a lot of these newbies cut right in front, like literally right in front of another truck, which is stupid.
And they cut too close in front of that truck.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Dumb. Just because a car was behind them and the car wants to, get in front of them, so what? Get at a safe distance. That car can stay behind you. Who cares?
Now tell me, what is the estimated distance that it takes for a truck to come to a complete stop?
Stop. Well, it depends if you're empty or loaded. But they say it's like 300 yards or something like that. It's taking me a lot less than 300 yards.
Like the Lakeville football field.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah. But like you said, it depends if you're loaded or empty. Yeah.
If you're loaded out heavy, you know what I mean, it could take, a longer time, breaking down the gears and so forth. If you got a manual, you know what I mean? Yeah, it just depends.
So you won't drive automatic?
I will not drive an automatic. I drove an automatic once. I used to drive for Western Express. I almost got in an accident because I kept going for the clutch.
For the clutch?
Yeah, and I almost T-boned car. It sucks when you're stuck in snow and so forth in automatic. But you can't get it in gears and lock yourself out of it.
So, in our closing, what would you say to truckers or potential truckers around the world right now saying, man, they make a lot of money out there. I need to get into trucking, and I make a buku money out there. What would you say?
Everything ain't for everybody. Do your research. If you're gonna come out here, don't be ignorant. Get a CV. Learn how to read a map. Learn some light mechanics on your rig. That's it.
Okay. Well, that is good information.
Okay, everybody, you heard it here on the Ask RIA show. Again, this is John. Thank you, John, for coming and give me your story. It is freezing out here. We're at the Petros, and it is cold. It's very cold. So I really appreciate John coming out here in the cold and doing this show. We actually did another show. It was in McDonough, but technical difficulties caused it to crash, and we lost the show. But he was a real champ to come back out here and do another show. Thank you so much. So, this is the Ask RIA show. And remember, be safe on the road with truckers. If you see us coming, give us our space. Don't cut too close in front of us. Don't do crazy stuff. And don't listen to those lawyers that say if you're in an